hear the story from Christine Danielsen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First, I think we all need to breathe a little. It was a really, really powerful speech that Lyra did before, so I'm going to open up a beer, because that's what I'm good at. And I would actually like to say cheers, because what I usually preach with the beer-loving ladies clubs is that a cheers is the easiest way to learn to get to know new people, right? So let's all have a cheers. Well, I'm actually a bit nervous tonight because I do a lot of presentations. That's where a lot of my success comes from. But I always have a PowerPoint slide. I always have some facts. I always have a lot of things that I need to get in place and tell you guys about. So when I was called up and asked if I wanted to do this talk, I was actually really anxious because I was like, oh shit, it's back to when I was really, really, really anxious about doing presentations. And I feel that exact same thing. And what Katalin said to me earlier was like, yeah, this is like just before I go into a fight. And I feel the exact same way. Because I actually learned to use this anxiety in a positive manner, because I'm not really sure if it's anxiety or if it's more like I get all this adrenaline because I really want to do good. I want to tell you guys a good story. I want you guys to have fun, and I want you guys to leave from here with on a good notion and have a good night and think about, oh, that was an interesting talk. And actually, that's one of the things I wrote down. It's one of the good things about me, and it's one of the bad things about me. The thing is, I want to be the best at everything I do. And this is something that has followed me all through my life. When I grew up, I was very fast at saying, can I do this? Nah, then I don't bother. Can I do this? Well, okay, I'll try a little bit. No, I can't really fight with the guys. I just quit it instead. And I actually felt like this very much growing up. Like most kids from the Spice Girls generation, I wanted to be a singer or pop star, something cool, something extraordinary. Because when we grow up, we're never told that average is good. We're always told that you should go be extraordinary, you should go do these extraordinary things and really make yourself a success. And I've really been thinking about this a lot, like success, am I successful? When the guys called me, I was like, yeah, I can definitely talk about success because that's what I preach every day at work. I'm in this corporate world that I never expected to be in. I grew up and I wanted to be creative. I wanted to do something with my hands. I wanted to sew, or I wanted to do jewelry or something that I could really show my passion about, like doing something creative. The thing was, I was never the best at any of that. So I didn't find my real calling. And instead I was like, okay, I don't know really what to do. But this thing about learning to actually show your success instead of showing your weaknesses is what I want to take you guys a little bit through, because I've been thinking a lot about this. Like, I do my resume all the time. I'm in a corporate world. They all the time ask me, so what are your accomplishments? So I know all my accomplishments, and I know exactly how to voice them. I know how to tell that I'm a powerful woman. I can do all this stuff. I work in a corporate world with all these guys in their blue shirts, and I come in here like a little bit colorful, and I actually learned to just manage that, because that's also a big thing. The first time you're in, I tried to dress in those blue shirts and actually be like the rest, and I found out that's not really me. I want to be who I am. I want to be creative. And then, of course, sometimes when I have the meetings with the really big CEOs, I put on the blue shirt, because otherwise they will comment it. But it's not that often, and often I get to go to work as who I am. But this thing about really kind of bullshitting you through what your successes are, I thought about that a lot, because right now we're in Vega, and one of my biggest successes as a kid, I was 7, and I was at a Christmas party, and I wanted to be that pop star. And I was at this Christmas party with a lot of families, and then they wanted someone to go on stage and sing, together with Johnny Reimer, who's this, most of you know him, yeah? And we should sing Krumme with Det er svært at være 11 år. It's hard to be 11 years old. I was only 7, but let that be. And then I was like in front, I was like, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do this. And they actually picked me. And I was like, yes, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to kill it. And I went up and I sang that song. I have no clue how it sounded. And I was so proud. And I came down, I was like, Mom, Mom. I was like, where's my mom? And apparently she was out smoking. So she didn't see it. And then it was like, okay, it really didn't feel as a success, because if no one saw it, did it really take place? And then the next year, the same scenario happened, and I was chosen again, and I went up all eager, and again my mom was out smoking. So it really didn't feel a success, but that was the first time I felt like I meant for something bigger. Johnny Reimer, big deal, right? Yeah. No, but the thing was, growing up, I was actually really, really overweight, and I didn't have much self-esteem. So this for me was a big deal. The next success I want to tap into is like, from I was 13 till I was 18, I had 3 jobs while also going to school. I wanted to earn a lot of money. I thought it was a lot of fun. I wanted to like be professional and so on. And I thought, okay, this is how I can actually make myself extraordinary. But the backside of that coin was actually, I just wanted to earn money so I could buy nice clothes, so I could hopefully be popular one day. Which didn't really make sense, because that's not how teenagers work, right? So instead I was like, okay, when I turned 18, I became a student from high school. The first one in my family, yet another success, right? But I had a poor GPA. It was so bad that I couldn't do the studies that I wanted. In the meantime, I'd lost a lot of weight, so I'd just been drunk all through high school. But I had a lot of fun about it. And I was the first one in my family, and that's a good story, right? That's a good success to tell. But you could also say that it was a success that I actually, gained some confidence and found myself and had a lot of friends and got drunk a lot. I don't know if you should call that a success, but you could in some way. Then when I was 19, I got accepted at CBS. I studied English and communications. I was like, yeah, really determined. I'm going to go corporate. But as you heard before, that was never really my calling. The big thing was that I was really unsure of what to do. And I thought, well, it doesn't hurt becoming better at English. So why not just go to CBS? The party should be great. So I started at English and Communications, and I had so much fun. I became a tutor, so we partied all the time. But not too far into my first year, now we've heard it from both Lyra and from Catalin, moms do have a big influence on your life. And all of a sudden, my mom got really, really sick. And within a month, she passed away. So this was like this big, wow, I'm only focusing on having fun, and all of a sudden my mom passes away. So this was a really, really big hit for me. I grew up alone with my mom, and she's been a really, really big part of who I am. But on the other hand, she's always told me she was quite old when she had me. Back then, she was 41. Which today would be rather common, but back then I was met with people always telling me like, wow, your mom is so old. And I was like, well, my sister is 15 years older, so that kind of made sense. But growing up, my mom actually always told me that you shouldn't really depend on me being here when you grow up. You shouldn't depend on me when you have kids. You shouldn't depend on me to be there when you get married. And I always got so mad at her, like, why are you saying shit like that? It doesn't make any sense. But I actually think that somehow she knew that she didn't take very well care of her body. She died from lung cancer, and I don't know how you call it in English, when your lungs are all smoked up, basically. So I think this was her way of prepping me and kind of like making sure that I could like take care of myself the day she was not going to be there anymore. But that situation being that, okay, all of a sudden I was in this study and I was like, do I really want to, is this what I want to be? I was like, okay, maybe I should drop out and become a graphic designer. But the thing was, I'd started in a study group where there were 6 people. And when I came back after I was away for about a month, I came back, and these people who I've only known for about 4 months, they had handed in every single assignment in my name to make sure that I would pass anything so I could just move forward. And this was one of the biggest thing anyone has ever done for me. I was really, really surprised, like, they don't even know me and then they do this for me. So basically it ended up that we were 6 people that had such a good friendship that we all graduated and only 2 of us used that degree for anything. The rest did something completely different, like social psychology and studying Danish and being a teacher. So I think we were just there because it was really good for us. We were really, really good friends, and we grew up together, basically. So I took a year off after graduating or after getting my bachelor's degree to really figure out, okay, what is it that I want to do? And in this year, I started working full-time in a rather shitty job in a telecommunications company. And then all of a sudden, I was in this meeting, and a customer said, like, well, I think we misunderstood because we thought you guys were like creatives. We thought you did like creative, like marketing campaigns. And then I remember looking at my boss and I thought like, this is my opportunity. And I was like, yeah, we also do that. And on the way home, my boss was like, what? You're just trying to sell us into a creative like task? And I was like, but listen, we have all these really cool guys that all has bachelor degrees. Why not just pitch for this task? And then we went home, and he was like, but I have no clue how to do this. I was like, neither do I, but let's try our best. And then within a week, I'd put together a team of 4 people. I called all the friends I had who was in advertising, and I was like, how do I do budgeting? And how do I actually create a pitch? What do they expect when we come out there to present an idea and so? And then all of a sudden, I put together a pitch, and I went in, and I was like, I was dead nervous. I'd never stood in front of anyone before, and I was like, okay, so now we pitched your 100-year celebration of your company, and what we're going to do is this and this and this, and then we put a budget, and we've done 2 budgets, and we advise you to take on the most expensive one. And then they were like, that sounds fair, let's do that. I was like, okay. I think I found my calling. Like, this is fun. I get to be creative, but I also get to do something that actually kind of relies on what I'd been studying. So it was a bit of a win-win situation. After that, I actually found out that CBS, they offered this graduate, how do you call it, master program, which is called Management of Creative Business Processes. I don't know if any of you have studied. I know Iliana. Oh, there are a few here, yeah. And I found out, well, okay, that's pretty cool. I can do business and creative stuff at the same time. So I applied for this and got in. We were only 60 people out of 280 who got in. So I felt really lucky, and I was like, all of a sudden I found this place with a lot of creative people, because a lot of the people who studied there, they had already been out doing creative stuff like DJing or doing publishing or stuff like that. And I came in, and I was all of a sudden the most corporate of all of them. But I found out, okay, I'll do this, and then I'll do marketing. So the success story I'd tell was, but like, yeah, I did my thesis in 7 weeks because I got a job at Carlsberg, and also I just landed this dream job, like really dream job at Carlsberg. But the thing was, at the same time, I was pitching in for a job at Carlsberg, which was one of those, okay, I'll just send an application because I kind of have to. It's not in my league. I'm never going to get it. I applied for this dream job at a creative agency. And I went in, and I went to the first, what's it called? When you go to a interview. Yes. I went to the first interview, and they were like, yeah, you seem pretty okay. Like, let's, okay. And then they actually declined the second one. And I called them up, and I said, that's wrong. You should take me in. And then they called an hour later and said, okay, you get the chance, you can come present this case. And I went into that case with some of the most influential people in the Danish advertising industry, and I completely failed because I had no clue what I was doing. But I felt good because I was like, we didn't connect at all. I don't want to be in a space where I don't connect with the people that I'm around. So when Carlsberg called a few days later and were like, yeah, you're going to go to the last interview, I was like, okay, fuck it, I'm just going to try this and see how it works out. And then I got the position. I was like, everyone around were like, wow, how did that happen? Especially the people from my study, because they were like, my bachelors, you have such bad grades. How did that end up? But it was like, I landed my master degree with one of the highest GPAs of my year because I really found out what I thought was fun and what I wanted to do. So all of a sudden, I ended up in this big machine that's called Carlsberg, and I actually have an old colleague here, which I didn't know who was going to come tonight. I did my first 2 years as in their graduate program as a sales and marketing graduate. And this is a position where you really get the opportunity to play. Because everyone knows you're new, but they have a lot of expectations to you, but they still know that, okay, you need some guidance and you need to learn a bit on the way. The first success I did for Carlsberg, which I'm really, really proud of today, is actually on this particular beer can. Whenever you drink it from now on, you're going to think about drinking with respect, because that's what it says. I developed that as a creative output when I was as a graduate. I went to one of the bosses and I said, well, I'm doing all these tasks in my graduate program, but I heard that you're doing a CSR program, and I think this is really interesting, and I think I can tell a story that's interesting and appealing. And then I got to do this campaign on my spare time in the middle of the night, because I was working a lot back then. I was doing everything I could to actually prove that I'm the best at this, which is a bit of a hassle when you're with a lot of very good people. So I kind of wore myself out. I was working all the time. But then I remember one night sitting, calculating on this business case. I actually remember that Louise, who was here, she was a big part of helping me in this, because it was I launched the brand Grimbergen in Denmark with the bird that everyone calls it, the phoenix that flies around, and it's today one of it is the biggest craft and specialty beer brand in Denmark, which I'm really proud of, and I can call a success. But there are a lot of people who was part of that success. And I think that's what we really need to remember, like, success is not something you can create on your own. You need people around you to support you. You need people that can actually help you go there. And then on the other hand, bringing that success to life, I was working like 70, 80 hours a week. I didn't see any of my friends. My family was really mad at me for never being at home. But I was happy because it was so much fun. And I got to, it was like, as someone told me one day, it's like giving birth, right? You forget all the bad things that comes along, then you give birth to this beautiful thing, and it's a lot, and then you forget it, and then you do it all over again. And that's kind of the cycle that I'm into right now, because it is a lot of hard work being in a corporate world. I love it because I get to do these creative things, and I get to do these things where I can actually see people, going to the bar, sitting with that product, that particular product, and that whole strategy and all the things that has gone into this. in their hands. And then I feel really proud. But I don't feel proud that I'm not seeing my family. I don't feel proud that I've been a bad friend for a long time. So that's what I'm really, really trying to get into now. When I was 30, 2.5 years ago, I decided that I wanted something that was my own. Because now I've been doing all these things for Carlsberg. I decided, well, it's really a shame that all these stories, that I can't tell them myself, that I can't really do it authentically like I want to do it, that I don't have 100 stakeholders. So that was when I created the Beer-Loving Ladies Club, or in Danish, the Ølglade Damers Klub. Please follow us on Instagram or Facebook. It's an initiative where we go out and really try to work with the image of beer. We do beer tastings that is not about yeast and fermentation processes, but it's more about the cultural identity of beer. We're Danes. Danes is a big part of, beer is a big part of being Danish. And I really love doing this. And actually, even still working a lot, this is something that really gives me energy, because I think it's so nice to actually go out and talk to people and have conversations about something different than work. But yet, it's also a bit of work, because it is about beer. So it's kind of a balance that is really, really tough for me to find. And one morning I wake up and I'm mad about it all, and I want to move away and want to do something completely different. I've been dreaming about opening up a breakfast restaurants for the past 4 years. But I don't know if I have the courage, because now you get kind of used to where you're in, right? And I'm in this corporate world, and you know, I know exactly what to do and how to do it. I have a lot of stakeholders. I have to reach some KPIs. I have these performance ratings, blah, blah, blah. But I'm really missing that creative edge that I can actually go into. And that's something that I'm really working on. So if anyone hears about a job or something that's really creative, but also very corporate, let me know. I haven't seen them around. And that's my thing. Like, I don't know where else I would go and do actually what I do. Because I get to do things that moves people. I get to bring people together, like, with beer. It seems stupid, but I think it's one of the most social products that we actually have in the market. And now everyone's living in this digital world. Why not come together and drink some more beer, right? Well, so a little bit later, after turning 30, I was appointed Talent 100 by Berlingske Tidende, the Danish newspaper. And that was the first time I actually thought, well, okay, I've done quite okay. That was actually the first time I was thinking, like, I'm pretty cool. This is some cool achievements. Because beforehand, the world that I'm in, they just tell me, oh, you reached this goal, I have a new one for you. And when you reach that one, I have a new one for you. So you never really get to rely on any of that success. And I know that's for everyone. But it's just to say, I really think you need to find that balance, right? And I need to be better, at least, to really, I should say, stop, kind of. Just ask people around me to stop a little bit. And myself, not the least. Because I'm here right now. I took on a new job, 8 months ago. And it's really interesting. And I love it. But it's way too much, because I can't say no to new projects. My boss came to me and was like, I have this really interesting project. I was like, yeah, but I have way too much. And then he was like, it's about this and this and this. I was like, okay, let me do it. And now again, I'm working 70 hours a week, which is just ridiculous. So I'm really trying to figure out how to find that balance and not to give myself up in it. Because as you could maybe sense before, I put a lot of my personality into what I do. And I think that's one of the worst things about me. I want to be the best at it, but I also want to, feel myself into what I do. But the thing is, at some point you get into this sort of identity crisis. Like, how can I actually give that much away and still be in that balance and being with my family and my friends? So I actually started talking to this coach about it to really understand, like, how do I balance this? Because obviously I'm not good at it myself. I just go to work and I do what I'm best at and try to perform. But I really also want to find that balance. Especially now I have a boyfriend and 2 stepkids, as you call it in English. I like the Danish version of bonus kids better. And all of a sudden I see this, it's so nice coming home to a family that really takes care of you. And they also, every time I'm not at home, they'll tell me right away, like, why are you never here? Where have you been? What are you doing? Why are you with your computer again? So that's really evidence that, okay, Christine, close down the computer, do something else. Don't check your emails before going to work or before going to bed. Don't check your emails as the first thing as you wake up in the morning. Instead, just try and be. So that's some of the things that I wanted to talk about, like, okay, success, it may be good, it may be really nice, but often it's also really awful. And there's always a story behind that success that you meet out there. I actually just, because I am an academic, right? So I looked up, like, okay, what does the big guys say about success? And Bill Gates and, what's his name? Warren Buffett, they were both like, it's all about love. They made a lot of money, right? But still, it's all about love. And I think that's just the message that I wanted to bring to you guys, that love is really important. And the guys that did the efficiency book, like 7 Steps to be a more efficient person, it's a big seller. You should read it. It's actually really good. I try to be more efficient so I can actually spend less time at work and more time at home. His question about success was like, okay, what is it that you want to be told at your funeral? So I want you guys to go from here today and actually really think about, what do I want the priest or whoever's gonna say goodbye to you in that manner to say at your funeral? Because I think it's a good thing to really remember. Is it that important to work all the time? Is it that important to have success? Or is it okay to be average? So that's what I wanted to close off with. Thank you. And cheers.